Hello and welcome to the Indie Author Podcast. Today, my guest is Christian Schu. Hey, Christian, how are you doing?
Hey, Matty. I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
I am pleased to have you here and to give our listeners and viewers a little bit of background on you. Christian Schu is a dedicated filmmaker who sees filmmaking and advertising as storytelling arts. Since starting commercial filmmaking in 2015, he has focused on creating narratives that deeply engage viewers through emotion. His career includes works in virtual studios, sports events like the WTA Mallorca Open, and collaborations with German business speakers. Christian's passion for storytelling began with childhood Lego play, and I love that application of storytelling to different areas. That's basically what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about storytelling on social media for authors. And this is a really well-timed conversation because just a couple of episodes ago, I had a conversation with a guest about holding the audience attention, how you can break through the noise and hold an audience's attention. And I think storytelling is going to prove to be one of the ways to do that. And so let's start out talking about that a little bit about, is it true that our audience is having a declining attention span?
100%, 100% true. If you look back like 10 years, we had an attention span of the people from around 12 seconds, roughly. That decreased now within the last 10 years. Now we're talking about 5 to 6 to 7 seconds. It's one of the reasons why you find nowadays films very short edited. Like you have a scene, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, cut, next scene, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and so on. Compared with the start of filmmaking or like movies made by Hitchcock, who edited basically the whole film he shot in one scene or in 2 or 3 scenes. Today, for the young generation, even more than for me or even for you, it feels boring to watch it because we are not used to it anymore. And that's one of the reasons, because the attention span has decreased so much. So yes, I fully agree with the fact that we need to keep the audience hooked on the track, on the story. And that's why storytelling is actually the only thing that works nowadays with the audience.
And when you're giving the numbers, like the number of seconds, what it used to be, like what is the context in which that's measured? Are those numbers related to specifically online interactions outside the real world, or can you talk a little bit about what those numbers reflect?
Yes, sure. Those numbers, of course, measured from people watching a screen. Yeah, you can easily scroll your feed, no matter Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you're using, or the audience outside is using. You can just scroll up and, okay, you see a picture. Nah, it's not none of your interest. You just scroll up. You don't even, or the audience at least, doesn't even take the time to reflect on what they are seeing, because there is so much more in the pipeline. And this scrolling up syndrome is like, okay, what is new? What is new? What is new? And is infinite timeline. There will be always something new coming up. The algorithm will always produce something for you on social media. So no matter you are on Facebook or on Instagram or TikTok once a day for a few moments or the whole day, you will be able to find something rather interesting maybe for you. But you keep scrolling. And that's one of the reasons that also, adds to the decline of the attention span.
It makes me think there's the difference between catching people's attention and holding people's attention. And so I'll use myself as an example here. I don't spend that much time on social media, but usually in the evenings I'll spend a little bit of time scrolling through Facebook or whatever. And
Mhm.
I'll scroll past things like, you know, this is a video of a truck running into a bridge or something, like you would think. If you saw it in real life, of course, you would stop and have to stare at it for however long it went on. But I got fascinated with videos of people combining paint colors. So
Mhm.
there are these videos where there'll be like 3 dots of paint and in different quantities in several rows, and then it will just be a video of the person combining the paint. I find that fascinating. I don't think that's because I'm like gripped by the suspense. I think there's some other like endorphin being triggered or something, that it's a relaxing thing for me to look at. But these videos are holding my attention. Are there lessons that we need to be keeping in mind about the difference between grabbing someone's attention and holding someone's attention?
Definitely. you can grab someone's attention rather easy by using any of these kind of viral videos. You can grab the attention, but how you hold it is rather, let's say, not so easy. And it highly depends on your target group as well. You can the attention, this kind of grabbing attention with viral videos works among mostly all of the people. But it's also, you can see a kind of numbness slowly coming up with the people who see that, because it's like, it's nothing new. Then a baseball hit the camera, yeah. All right, you're shocked the first time you see that. But then you see it 10 times and you're like, yeah, right. Yeah? And you just go on scrolling. And it makes you, or it makes the audience, not you, all of us, kind of numb slowly. So there will be the need to do more than that. So it must be either more crazy or more dangerous or more of something like you mentioned before, the truck that drives into a bridge. Yeah. In real life, we would stand there, watch it, and maybe record it or call the police, call an ambulance or whatever we will do. While we see that on social media, our emotion towards this situation is a lot less than in real life, because I believe it's overused with all of this. It's too much, yeah. And to be honest, I don't think all of these viral videos are necessary to to promote a product or even yourself as a brand. I mean, if you're listening, your audience is an author, an independent author. They also are their own brand, their own product. They also need to somehow sell themselves. But I believe it's not necessary to do those kind of things with, sorry to say that word, stupid viral memes and videos and clips like that. I believe it's possible by putting a little bit more ideas into yourself as a brand, into your audience, into your target group, your respective target group that you are trying to reach. And then you can make it by just being consistent. I mean, we will dive in a little bit deeper into this later. But yeah, I think it's not necessary to use these kind of videos, viral clips at the beginning to hook somebody's attention with something that might not even have to do anything with the brand or with the author.
Yeah, I think that that message is going to be very well received by people who are probably used to hearing that, you have to do Instagram Reels, you have to do TikTok videos, and that for many people, that is not their comfort zone. And
Yes.
I think the other thing that I'm realizing your comments are highlighting is that I think people want to get their work out into the world because they have what they understand to be a unique story to tell. And then they're advised to promote that story by doing what everybody else is doing. And it's a
Yes.
very uncomfortable conflict of interest there, I think. So, talk a little bit about how authors should be tapping into their brand, their product themselves in order to create the engagement that they're looking for.
The most important thing at the beginning is you have to know who is your target group. As an author, who are you writing for? Who do you want to reach with your stories and with your books and with your writing, let's say in general? Um, this is the most important thing. You need to have a very, very clear picture about this target group, and then you need to define and refine this picture. What are the dreams and aspirations of this persona, of this kind of target group? What are their fears, anxieties? What do they struggle with? Basically, it's the same. What I'm doing as a filmmaker is the same what you have to do as an author. You are selling something. You're selling a story. You're selling a few lines. Yeah? You need to reach the right person. It's no point of targeting somebody who your product is not good for. So, or not supposed to be for. So first of all, it must be clear who is your target group. And as soon as you know your target group inside and outside, then you can start with storytelling for your target group. Um, let me give you a brief example. There is a big difference between you're writing for women or for men or for kids. Yeah? Kids want to have it colorful. So no matter what you do on social media, you need some more colors to reflect a playful tone in your pictures, your videos, or whatever you do. Maybe that can be enough already that you put some marker pens in different colors or some pencils in different colors next to the picture. That not everything is very uh, clearly organized when it comes to kids. There is a little bit of chaos, and that's okay because they are kids. They want to play. So if this is your target group and you're writing for kids mostly, then you need to make sure that it reflects your social media appearance.
I think a lot of authors are going to think of their target audience in terms of readers of a certain genre. So what I'm
Mhm,
looking for are readers who love contemporary romance, or what I'm looking for are readers who love memoir or
mhm,
World War II history or something like that. And in their minds, they may be thinking, I mean, if somebody's writing contemporary romance, they probably know it's primarily female. If they're writing World War II history, they probably know it's primarily male. How important is it for them to actually understand those kind of demographic details? And if it is important, how do they find those things out?
okay, it is important to a certain extent. And if you have a target group, your target group usually don't span from 18 to 80. That's not going to happen. There is always the right time, let's say, for this. Yeah, if a female um, author is writing about her own story right now because she has a breakup and maybe she's between 30 and 40, then chances are high that her readers are also in this kind of age group because maybe they also had the same story like her, they may be the same age like her.
Well, I do like that idea of starting with yourself as your own reader avatar, because I think you're right. People are writing about the things that are meaningful to them and that they probably represent their own demographic. And maybe as an author becomes more successful and they're wanting to reach into other groups, you
Mhm.
know, if you've tapped out the guys the middle-aged and older guys who love World War II history, then maybe
Yes.
there's an opportunity to tap into a female audience of history buffs. But I think starting out with yourself as a test case is a really good one, and also because, um, I'm a little on the fence about this advice myself, but you can sort of test things out like social media presence, social media content on yourself. But I do think it's very difficult for authors to look impartially at their own things, their own email newsletters, their own social media posts, whatever that might be, and assess how it's going to land with other people. And actually, one of the topics you talk about is how to visualize text for social media, which I think it could provide some guidance here. Can you talk a little bit about what you mean by visualizing text for social media?
Yes. So when when it comes to showcasing this on social media, what they can do is actually they can grab a certain line they like that means something to them and that also tells a story. For example, uh, I turned the key and opened the door slightly. And you have this written on social media. Maybe you can print that out and you can take a picture of it while it's laying down on your desk. And then you just write below, what's happening next? Question mark. So the audience will be like, okay, turning the key, opening the door, what's there? And we all have an own imagination. And this is already enough storytelling in this particular example to have somebody who is interested in the topics the author presents is already interested to go on thinking. It's already there in the mind of that person, thinking, okay, what is behind the door? And then the author can go on and write, for example, in the comments, is it this or is it this? Or what do you see there? So it's the interactive way of taking your audience on your desk, I would say like that. They need to sit with you. They need to see what you see. They need to feel what you feel. And to make them being able to do that, you can show something like this, like how I make that example. Yeah.
I really like that idea of posing a question that your book is going to answer. And I mean, a very obvious place, a very obvious genre where this could be used is mystery thriller suspense. So my fiction work is in the mystery thriller suspense
Yeah.
world. And that idea of posing the question that your book will answer. Can you think of some sort of cinematic examples for different genres of a question you could pose on social media that would be intriguing to people?
Important is what I believe, that you jump right in. You don't start explaining your characters and this and that. You save that time because that's why you want your audience to buy your book. What they should do is they should dive right in. So, yeah, I mean, it depends on what genre you're actually writing.
Well, let me pick one because I think a lot of my listeners will either be readers or writers of this genre, and I think I'm thinking it's going to be an easy one to use for this. But let's say crime fiction, mystery thriller,
Okay.
suspense. I think that would be a pretty easy one to make cinematic. Do you agree? Can you give some examples specific to that?
Yes, I mean, you can you can basically take a picture of a knife and write 2 sentences from your book, or maybe 1 sentence from your book that just fits this situation with the knife. Yeah, and the storytelling, you can ask the audience, okay, what's going on? Are we have a murder here, or not, or how? And then you can reveal it in the book if you want to, if you want your audience to wait. Or sometimes you can also reveal it on social media directly to give them, yeah, maybe in a situation where you have some twist. It might be interesting to show your audience on social media that it's not what they think it is. It's not the gardener is always the murderer. It was somebody else. And this kind of twist, I mean, you don't want to reveal the whole story and the whole plot, obviously, but you want to maybe try to, yeah, try to push the audience into one direction and then tell them, oh, no, 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 not that easy. It's not that easy with my books. Uh,
Something that I've experimented with is using I've been experimenting with Notebook LM. So Google's
mhm.
Notebook LM, you can load in, like I've loaded all my books into Notebook LM, and I'll ask it things like pull out some quotes of some number of characters or less that I could use on social media. And it comes back with a whole bunch, and like a bunch of them are not useful, but some of them are very useful. And
Yes,
so I was experimenting with having an image for social media that would be just a quote. Like I was in this case, I was specifically looking for dialogue. I was looking for a piece of dialogue that I thought would be interesting. You know,
yes.
it brought back 20. I found two that were actually useful
Mhm.
and accompanied that with an image that I found, you know, a stock image that I found that I thought was appropriate for it. And I didn't carry on that experiment long enough to be able to comment on how effective it was. But the one thing I wasn't doing that I like that you're suggesting is don't limit yourself just to the post, but continue that in the comments. And that's kind of a way of making it more cinematic because I think a lot of indie authors who are doing their own social media are not going to have the tools or necessarily the skill set to create video content for their platform.
Yeah,
Creating still content is much easier.
yes.
But continue it, you get that kind of chronological continuation if you then continue your interaction about the post in the comments section.
I mean, when we are talking about crime and mystery and stuff, and I just see, I just take Instagram or Facebook as an example. We have with both platforms, we have story we can use, which disappears after 24 hours, and we have post that we can use, and we have reels that we can use as a platform. Let's say on these two platforms, so you can basically tell a story that starts in your story on Instagram or Facebook. We can see some blood or some, yeah, just some picture from the forest where you walk, yeah, something like that. We see feet laying there. Yeah, you need somebody to recreate that. Yeah, but that should be possible if you want to tell that story, and then you just go on with this. And after 24 hours, it disappears. You can give your audience a hint, and they need to guess which one is the right answer. You can do the quiz or whatever, yeah, and only if your target audience, at least one will find the right answer, then you go on in a post to talk about that, or in the next story to talk about that. You can make it interesting. And yeah, when you talk about cinematic, I believe that is something where you can use the platforms like Instagram, social media in general, or Facebook in this particular example. You can use them to tell a story with some kind of twist, because that person, that follower that checks your story and that has a look at that story, they will tune in tomorrow again because they want to know how it's going on. You need to prepare them, of course. You need to tell what you're doing. I will take you on a hunt or something like that. I will reveal something now, and only the right person, if you guess the right answer, yeah, among those 3, 4, 5 answers, I don't know, and then you don't use some easy ones, yeah, then only we will go on. And then in 24 hours, you will be able to see how it processes further. And so you can actually recreate a story from your book that is rather easy, yeah, to do. I mean, I know you just mentioned your target group not being able to, or maybe not so easy being able to film and this and that. So take the basics, take stills, and once in a while, even in this story, you just take some printed out dialogue from your book, and you just leave it like this. There is 1 or 2 or 3 sentences that you take a picture at, and the people who want to read, they need to stop the story, and then they will maybe zoom in, they will have a look, they will check. And all of this contributes actually to your interest for the platforms, because the people who follow you and who check your story and your post, they will stay longer because they need more time to have a look at that. They want to read that. They are curious. Curiosity is the best thing anyway. You need to leave them curious with everything. I'm pretty sure you know best, and all your authors also know best. Curiosity always works. What we want to create for the audience are also pictures that you can hear. Yeah. So if there is the possibility that you have a desk standing in front of a nice wall that is decorated and not just a plain white wall, then rather choose the decorated one. If you happen to have your desk standing in front of a window and you can look out, then show us what you are seeing. I mean, if you are, our surrounding is also a lot inside of us. So if you look out of your window and there are big houses like skyscrapers with many people living inside, is very anonymous, that way of living. I am pretty sure that your stories and the way you're writing is also reflecting this. So show it, because that's maybe your target audience, life. So you can show that. You can showcase this that is part of you. I believe that opening yourself up to the audience is the key here. To be more accessible is good in this particular example, because I believe the author usually we don't know about. We pick a book based on the text that is inside of the book or behind. And on social media, we have the chance to turn this around. We don't have the anonymous author anymore, but we have, I don't know, Mark and James and Matty and Lisa, who are all writing and who we can secretly look over the shoulder and see what are they doing? What is their way of finding a story? How does their inspiration look like? I believe it's any author will be there will be a huge part of being biographical writing inside the books, no matter what genre they are using. So I think it's a reflection, and the social media should reflect the life and inspiration of the authors as well.
I completely agree with the idea that there's an expectation now that readers get more of an inside glimpse of the author as opposed to the past, where the author's personal life would be
Yeah.
invisible to most of their readers. And I like the idea of portraying a brand. If what you see out the window that you would look out while you were writing is a concrete parking lot, then just take a picture out a different window, and you don't have to lie and tell people that this is the view you're looking at. But if you have a more interesting, a more brand right view out of another window, then maybe your shtick becomes, I'm going to, once a day, I'm going to take a picture out the window and let you see what's going on in my neighborhood or something like that. Or you don't
Yes.
show the overflowing laundry basket. You show some other curated part of your house that you feel comfortable sharing with people. And I think that thinking about it in terms of you're creating a persona for yourself, you're curating your public persona on your social media is much more comfortable than the thought that, oh, I have to open up my private life to my readers. It doesn't sound comfortable for me. And I think the curated version is both more comfortable and more effective with the people you want to reach.
Definitely. If I may just dive into this thought, they don't necessarily need to take pictures all the time from their house and this and that, but show some inspiration. Where do you get your inspiration from? Take a picture. We all have our phones with us. Just take a picture. It doesn't mean you need to post it now on social media. Think about it. Is that something that really inspires you and you want to post? All right, go ahead, post it, and let your followers be a part of this inspiration. And then you can still write. I mean, okay, you're walking, depending on where you live and what you're seeing every day. You're in a city, of course, it's a different approach to living in the mountains. Yeah? But whatever you see, you take a picture of it and let the audience, glimpse into it. And also, you can write, for example, I've been seeing this, and what I realized is this and this and that and that. Your own thoughts about this situation. All right. And then you ask in the comments again, your audience, what is, what is, what are your thoughts about it? What do you think about this situation that I just took a picture of? Like I said, it can be anywhere. It can be a horse standing in the middle of nowhere. It can be New York City. It can be anywhere. But what do you see in this picture? And then you don't even need to dive too deep into the story of your book or whatever you are writing just now. You don't want to maybe tell too much, yeah. But you can also spin some kind of story here, and you can write a little bit about how that inspired you and what you think is going on here, and
Mm.
what is your inspiration here. I believe that that's valuable to kind of see deeper into your character as an author.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting to think about. One of the other things I've experimented with, I should go back to some of these experiments. I don't think I let them go long enough. Is that I would, especially if I have a private forum, like I have a private Facebook group, and I would post things like it was just a picture in a coffee shop of two espressos or something like that. And then the note I put with it was, if you were meeting one of the characters in one of my books for coffee, who would it be and what would you talk about? Or you're meeting someone at a bar, who is it going to be and what's the drink that you order, that each of you orders? Which is not only fun, I think it's fun for the readers, but it's also really fun. Like sometimes you'll get some responses back and you'll think, really?
I didn't
It's like,
even think about that. Yes.
it's great
Yes.
market research. You're like, I never thought of that character ordering that drink. That's very interesting. It
Yeah.
can be a very
But
fun
but
and
but
interesting insight into
also,
how people absorb your work. I think that I've mainly posted those kinds of things on private groups, but a benefit of doing it in a more public forum, like, a Facebook page as opposed to a Facebook private group,
yeah,
would be that, and I probably would only recommend this after you've sort of vetted the experience in a more private forum, is that you're sort of you're crowdsourcing the promotion of your work, because if you say that you're going to a bar with one of the characters in my novels, what drink does each of you get? Who would the character be and what drink does each of you get? Then someone might say, oh, I see, they picked John Doe and John Doe's going to get a bourbon. That kind of sounds interesting. I wonder, what it is about John Doe that made them decide that he was going to have a bourbon. And if you know that the responses are likely to be brand right because you've cultivated a community that is in sync with what you want to communicate about your readers, then that's a beautiful position to be in.
Absolutely.
One of the things you had said that is I thought was very interesting is the idea of standing out through consistency. Talk a little bit about what you mean by that.
It's all about consistency on social media. You have to make time for posting. I know that this is not something that many people like to do, like preparing a post and preparing some text and finding the right hashtags, finding the right visuals for this, yeah, all of this. But you need to make time for it and you have to be consistent. It's so important. It's the difference between success and not. Many people start posting on social media. They do that for 1 week, for 1 month, for 3 months, for 6 months, and then they are done. And then they run out of ideas and they are too lazy to go on, or they are too busy to go on. They need to do other things and so on. It doesn't matter. You need to go on no matter what. And you can prepare things if you have the option to prepare things. You sit down on a Sunday and you write down what ideas do you have? Or nowadays, you can even use AI to give you some ideas for what topics to post on social media. You can use that. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of AI because I'm a creative mind. I don't like that so much. Yeah. But sometimes with giving ideas, especially when it's about yourself, that's not so easy. That's one thing. And the second thing is bring it out. Don't think too much about it. Just post it and take it from there. You look back 1 year and see your 1 year old post and you are like, oh my God, how did I do that back then? It looked so terrible. All right, good. Yeah. Nobody will scroll back 1 year anyway. If you
Yeah.
post 3 times a week or 5 times a week, nobody will do that. But important is you have to go on. You need to be consistent in what you're doing. If you decide to try out now for 3 months that you are posting a quote per week that reflects what you believe in, your values, and then you post 2 parts of dialogue from your books, and you post another normal picture of whatever inspiration you get from out there. Then you do that for 3 months and you don't stop before you reach these 3 months. And after the 3 months, you might want to change something. You want to see which performed well, which didn't perform so well. So you need to figure out what worked for you and what was easy for you to do and what was not so easy for you to do. You also need to make sure that all of these works. And then you go on posting after that. Maybe you change a little bit, but you don't change everything all at once. That's not the good way of doing it. You might lose your target group with this or your following because they are like, okay, yesterday she posted about this and everything was fine. I'm very interested in that. And now since 1 week, she's posting something that I don't care about. Yeah. Why is it? I don't feel like go on anymore following that person, and then they will unfollow. And you will be frustrated and you think it doesn't work, but you change the topic maybe too much. So you need to stay consistent in the way you're talking to your target group, in the way you are producing visuals. Yeah? Like, for example, if your whole thread is about dark pictures, you always use dark pictures. And now suddenly you start with neon color pictures. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not consistent.
Yeah.
And so consistency is one thing you go on no matter what. You also need to be consistent in the wording. You need to be consistent in how you treat people. Yeah, like for example, you have a lot of comments and the people you always write an answer directly. Yeah, let's say that 1 hour later you will be answering something about that. And now since 1 week you're not doing that at all. Not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your true fans will start worrying about you, thinking maybe something terrible has happened.
Yes. So it's about consistency in any way.
Yeah, one of the things I can imagine is another way consistency could help people is that I and other authors I know have regular posts like weekly. So I have what are you reading Saturday? I have
Hmm.
Adoptable Dog Friday. I've had, like if every Monday you post something like I just stopped at the coffee shop to pick up my coffee and I ran into one of my characters in my novel. Who was it and what did you talk about? Like, if you
Yeah.
have something like that, if you have something for 3 or 5 days of the week that you can keep cycling back on, I think
Yes.
readers get to see that schedule and they look forward to it, and
Absolutely.
you pave the way for them interacting with it because they think, "Oh, yeah, Saturday's coming up pretty soon. I'm gonna be able to let everybody know what I'm reading." And then if you feel like one of them isn't working so much and you swap it out, but then you have people say, "Wait a minute, what happened to Adoptable Dog Friday?" or whatever it was,
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
then
Yes.
it's again, it's great market research. I think that kind of interactivity that is enabled by social media that is harder to achieve in things like email newsletters, the
Yes.
market research opportunities of that interactivity is very important.
Exactly. I 100% agree. They like the core following. They are, yeah, they know when you are bringing out some new program, let's say, some new post,
Mhm.
like how you just mentioned. Every Saturday you will post about what you're reading on this Saturday. Great.
Yep.
Yeah. Good to know. Okay, what is she reading today? You have a following, and those people will be like, oh, okay, oh, today I know that book. I read that last week. Oh, what is that book? That is interesting. Let me go to Amazon and put it in my shopping cart for later. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is creating something. And the people will be like, it will be like some kind of routine for them.
Yeah.
And people feel safe with the routine. So you want to go on with your routine. Yes.
And I guess that the final benefit I'll mention of social media over something like the cinema is that it does have that interactivity. You can work on a movie and you can put it out and you can sit in the back of the theater as people watch it and see what the reactions are, but you can't really have a conversation in the moment about it with the people. Whereas social media does, I mean, for all its pitfalls, the benefit of social media is you get to interact with people.
Yeah.
Well, Christian, thank you so much for sharing your visual storytelling and cinematic storytelling approach
Thank
for
you, Matty,
authors.
for having me. Great.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Please let everyone know where they can find out more about you and everything you do online.
Well, I'm on social media, as
Excellent.
you have guessed. My website is easy to find. It's a Christian minus Schu, and Schu is written SCHU.com. And there are all my socials for whoever wants to follow me. I'm on Instagram regularly, Christian underline Schu underline film. So if anybody wants to follow me, I'm very happy about that.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.